Alright, welcome back to SnowRunner. So it's another short, non-wheel episode. I apologize to anyone that prefers the wheel episodes. Believe me, I prefer the wheel episodes too. I work all weekend. I'm working a musical theater show, and yesterday I was supposed to work from 9 to... Let me actually check here. Oh, we're gonna do this short circuit thing. But let me see if there's any other... Where does that need to go? Oh shit, I didn't even know there was another landslide. Where would you get concrete slabs? Over there. Yeah, I mean, we could do short circuit, drop those off, and then we can come back across, pick up the slabs, come down here and do that. Sounds like a good plan. So let's get one more. Alright, but yeah, yesterday, when I'm recording this, this episode is, that you're watching right now, I literally recorded, like, the day you're watching it. Like, it is 12:30 in the afternoon right now, and this video will go live at 3 o'clock, so just keep that in mind. Can I go across that? That looks like I can. We're gonna go for it. But so anyway, yesterday, which was Thursday, because today's Friday, I was scheduled to work 9:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., which if you're familiar with, you know, the entertainment, especially technical side of entertainment, that's typically how it is. They're really, really long days, especially like, days of a show, because you obviously, if it's just like a show that's coming into the theater, setting up for the day, playing that night and leaving, you know, that's a long day. You're gonna get there at probably 7 o'clock in the morning to do load in. They're gonna load all their shit off their truck into the theater, and then we're gonna set up their stage, everything else, and then there's usually like a little bit of a lull period in the afternoon where the techs don't really do a whole lot, because usually they come with their own crew. So their own crew does all their sound check and all that stuff, and then once the show starts, you know, we have our other responsibilities that we have to do, like if one of us is running sound, if they don't have a sound engineer, if one of us is running lights because they don't have a lighting designer, but typically they do. It depends on the show or the size of the act that's coming in. But then we cover things like, we usually have 2 people on stage, mostly for safety reasons. If there's a fire or something, we have people that know how to evacuate from the stage. And then we'll often have people that run spotlights or whatever else is needed. So, but anyway, they tend to be a long day. And then when the show is over, typically about like 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on when it started, we have to tear everything down and then load it out. So you typically don't get out of there until probably about midnight. So you could be there from like, you know, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning until midnight. So that's pretty normal for the tech industry, and like it's not unreasonable for that. But the show that we're doing now is a local community theater. They're not affiliated with the Maryland Theater, but they're like 2 doors. I just realized I said what theater I'm talking about. I'll have to cut that out. They're not affiliated with the theater that I work at, but they're like just a couple doors down on the same street. And you know, they're not the most organized people. They're all very nice, but like they're not the most organized people. And their rehearsal was supposed to start at 7 o'clock last night and be over by 9. They didn't even start rehearsal, the first act of rehearsal, until 8:30, almost 8:45. So the first act is an hour long, and then, you know, a lot of it is, oh shit, it is like a, oh, I totally drove past one. I'm just talking, not paying attention. It's fine. We have to turn around anyway and go back. But this theater company they do involve like children in a lot of their productions, but this one is mainly an adult production, but there are still some children because they need some children to do some of the more childlike roles, because it's Wizard of Oz, so like, you know, they need children for like the Munchkins and whatever else. But it was already late, and like there were some really little kids there. I'm talking like 5, 6 years old, and like it was a Thursday night. Like they're in kindergarten at the very least, kindergarten, first grade. Like my son's 6, he's in first grade. If my son was in this performance, I would have been pissed because at 9:45 when they finished Act One, one of like the main guys that is in charge of the whole theater company, him and his wife, uh, she came back with their sound engineer because they have their own guy. I was actually supposed to do it, and I did their last show for them, and they requested me for this one. But then like a couple weeks ago, I was told by the theater that um, their sound guy uh, became available again, and he was like begging to have the job back, so they gave it back to him or some shit. I don't know, whatever. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't like really mixing these kinds of shows because a lot of times there's children. They all have like lavalier microphones or like headset microphones, and those microphones are just really, really hard to deal with a lot of the times, especially when there's like 20 of them on stage. You tend to get a lot of feedback, and it can be bad. And he was struggling with feedback last night, and it was pretty miserable. But anyway, that's besides the point. Basically, I just got relegated to just being backstage, which is totally fine. I don't mind it. You just really sit there and don't have to do a whole lot. There is a point in time where I do have to drop in a little backdrop, and it is a very old theater, so it has a pin rail style system. It's often called like a hemp house, but we've changed all of our ropes out to normal like nylon style rope. I believe it's nylon style rope. I don't know, but they used to be like hemp style ropes, which would just destroy your hands when you're pulling things in and out. But anyway, it's very easy. I just have to let this one thing in at this one time and then pull it back out a couple minutes later. And then the other thing that I have to do is raise and lower the main rag, which is like the main curtain that blocks the stage from the audience. In theater lingo, it's often called the main rag. So anyway, I have a pretty easy job for this, and it's really easy money. But like, I was expecting to get out of there at 9:30 because that's what I was scheduled for. And granted, in this industry, you kind of have to take that all with a grain of salt. And I wasn't necessarily mad that I was there later. I was more mad at their organizational, like, it was just very poorly organized. Like, they didn't even start, their sound guy didn't even get there until like 6:30, like 30 minutes before rehearsal was supposed to start. And when you have 22 microphones that are like, wireless, belt pack, like headset over the ear microphones, you need to be there earlier to do your sound check because it's a lot of microphones, and it's just a lot that can go wrong. There's lots of variables, and it's just, he should have been there earlier. I don't know why he wasn't, but needless to say, he doesn't work for me. So not that anyone works for me, but you know what I mean. He's not my responsibility. I did my job, and that's all I had to do. But anyway, oh my god, I didn't freaking son of a bitch. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, and I'm just talking because I'm like really passionate about this subject right now, because I was kind of angry last night, I won't lie. But anyway, the first act ended at like 9:45, like I was saying, and his wife and their sound guy came up and they were like, it's 9:45, and he was like, we got to do act 2, like we have to, like we can't just end here. And like they were supposed to be done and out of the building at this point. Like they have a contract with the theater for when they have to be out, and they were supposed to be out by now, but they weren't. And could the theater have kicked them out? Yes, potentially, but they are an act that performs here pretty often, and they have a good relationship, so like it's not the end of the world. But there was just some other things, just personal things on my side that I was mad about, that I had to be there later. But anyway, Act 2 didn't even end until like almost 11:15-ish, And then, of course, you know, all the people had to get out of the building before we could leave. We had to make sure everything was off and the building was locked before we could leave. Because it was literally just me and the one other tech who was the production manager, which he's like one of my really good friends. I've known him for a long time. Pretty much taught him everything he knows. Me and another one of our friends taught him a lot of stuff that he knows in this industry, because when he first came in, he was only like 16 and didn't know a single thing. He's much younger than me. He's like 7 years younger than me, I think. 7 or 8 years younger than me. But he's pretty much worked there ever since he started there when he was 16. He's like 27 now, I think. Somewhere around 26, 27 now. He's been there ever since. So, like, I left for a period of time because my oldest son was born in 2017. Also, our boss at that time, because we were, technically, I'm still, things might change here in the future. But right now, I am not an actual employee of the theater. I'm an employee of this sound company that's local to my area. And they're contracted with the theater to supply techs and whatever else. So all of us pretty much work for them. The production manager is an actual theater employee now, though. He just recently got put in that position. He's pretty much been doing that for years, but he was just an employee of this sound company that we all worked for. But the theater fully hired him on to be their production manager, which he deserves. He's been there forever. He knows what he's doing. I wouldn't say he's the most responsible guy, but I mean, he takes responsibility for things, if that makes any sense. He's definitely a little wild and crazy, but I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. He does a good job. That's the most important thing. But anyway, so we didn't end up ending until, you know, almost 11:30, and then they all got out of the building pretty quick. But like, you know, I'm not the sound guy. Like, I mean, that is what I prefer to do, and I do enjoy running sound. I consider myself a sound tech more than anything. But the guy that was running sound from front of house, like, he just like went over like the talkback microphone, which is the microphone that you use to talk to anyone on stage. You can send it into monitors so it can feed to like dressing rooms, whatever. He talked into that and was like, make sure you give your batteries to me, but leave your microphones and packs at your stations, blah, blah, blah. Because the batteries are all rechargeable, so you need to be put on the recharger thing. But, like, he didn't come to the stage. So, like, all these, you know, kids and other adults were just walking up to me, handing me their batteries, which is fine. I mean, I was doing it anyway. But, like, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, and then he came back at the end of the night and was like, I've been doing all this stuff, and you've been back here doing all this stuff for me. And he's like, I don't even know your name. And I was like, yeah, you're goddamn right you don't know my name, because you didn't ask me. But anyway, it all worked out. We got out of there, and it's fine. I mean, I got paid for it. It's not like I didn't get paid for the extra hours I was there. But since it was a Thursday night is my trash night, as I call it, because my trash pickup comes Friday morning. So like Thursday night, I have to load up all my trash and then put it out at the end of my driveway. And you know, I was like, oh, it's fine, I know I'm working all day today, but I should be home by 10 o'clock at the latest, and I can, you know, get my trash done and have a little bit of time to relax and then go to bed, because I have to go back in tonight for the first show. I have to be there at 5 o'clock, so. But this is a show, so the show should start on time, and we should be out of there by 9:30 at the latest. But anyway, I just, you know, getting out of there at almost midnight, I only live like 10 minutes away, especially if there's no traffic. It's definitely less than 10 minutes. If, like, leaving at midnight last night, I got home in less than 10 minutes. But okay, now I just need to follow my markers. But yeah, so getting home that late, like, and then I had to go around and do all my trash, and, you know, thankfully my wife is very helpful, and she made sure the kitchen was all cleaned up, and like things that were in the refrigerator that needed to be thrown out were taken care of, and she helped a lot in that sense, because she knew I was really irritated, and she was irritated too, because she knows that sucks. Like, you're expecting to be there or get out of there at a certain time, and then, like, it just never. And it happens a lot. Like, I'm not saying this is like the first time it's ever happened. Honestly, it happens a lot with events, and I tend to work at a lot of events. But oftentimes, and it's not necessarily the theater's fault on this end for events. It's more or less the lady that does our scheduling, because she technically works for the sound company that we work for, but she doesn't even actually live in our area. She lives in like Oklahoma, and we live in Maryland. But the sound company is even based in Pennsylvania, so it's funny. But I live really close to Pennsylvania. It takes me like five minutes to get to Pennsylvania. I'm like right on the border, basically. But so anyway, she does the scheduling, and she often schedules it wrong. So I usually always add like an hour extra to my times whenever I know what my schedule is. But like a lot of times for auditorium things, it doesn't usually happen. Auditorium stuff, you usually get out of there on time, especially when there's children involved. And like the fact that it was a Thursday night, which is a school night, and there were children there. I mean, like children ranging from like 5 to 17, like under 18-year-old kids and under 10-year-old kids were there, and they were there until 11 o'clock at night. Like, I don't know how those kids were doing it. If my oldest stayed up that late, he would be an absolute gremlin. Like, it would be miserable. I don't know. It's crazy to me. Listen, I would love for my son to do things like that, especially in like the performance industry, just because I work in it, and it would just be cool to like work one of his shows or like be there when he's performing. But I don't know that he would ever do that. I mean, if he doesn't want to, that's totally fine too. But I don't know. I've just always thought that would be neat. I do have some nieces that are into ballet, so hopefully I can work some other ballet stuff. I used to do a lot of the ballet recitals years ago, but now that my nieces are old enough to do it, I might try to do those again. Just because I'm sure they think it's cool that their uncle is like, part of the crew or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, so it was a frustrating night for me, and I have to work tonight. I work tomorrow night because there's another show tomorrow night, and then I work Sunday afternoon for the last like matinee show. But it's just, it's just a lot. So that's part of the reason why I'm recording this the day it's getting uploaded and published. Just because I just didn't have time to record anything last night. I got home way too late. I wasn't in the mood. I was in a mood, just not in the right mood. And I just chilled, relaxed, watched some YouTube videos, and then went to bed by 1 o'clock. And then I was up at 7 to get my kid on the bus, and then my youngest is, just wild and crazy, and he's ready to go at 7 o'clock, so I was just up. So that's just kind of how my life goes. I tend to stay up late anyway, so it's not a big deal. It's not like being up that late because I was at work is why I was mad. Like, I would have stayed up that late even if I wasn't at work. It's just the fact that, like, I had things I needed to get done when I got home, and it just pushed everything back later, and then I had to stay up later than I really would typically, because typically I try to go to bed by 12:30, but I was up until almost 1:30. Because I didn't, when I went to bed, I didn't exactly go to sleep immediately. Wait, is that what I need? I don't have it active. Oh, there's more. I guess we could have done those. Well, we can always go do those because we'll be coming back this way, so we can pick up the service spare parts there and go that way. Concrete slab is what I need, not... What am I doing here? Alright, I need to... There we go. And then I just need to follow this road, right? Yes, until we get here. Okay. What are we at on time here? About 10 minutes left. So it's been, it's just going to be a little bit of a busy couple of days for me trying to get videos recorded and uploaded. And if I miss a day, I miss a day. I'm not that stressed about that. But it could happen to where I miss a day. Don't worry, I won't change up the pattern. If I miss a day, the next day will just be whatever episode was supposed to go up the day before. So, say if I end up missing a day where it's supposed to be SnowRunner, the SnowRunner video will just go up the next day that I get it up. It won't be Spider-Man or whatever else I'm playing. It will always just be the video that should have gone up the day that I missed will go up the next day that I can get it up. So. This performance, though, was just, I mean, they're obviously not professionals. They're just like, you know, amateur local people that enjoy doing theater. And some of them are actually really talented, especially singing and acting. Like, actually, one of the girls that was in it is one of the, I think her title is an event assistant she actually works for the theater. But she was actually in it, and she was actually Dorothy, and she was really, really good, singing-wise especially. But I don't know, it's just, it's fun. I enjoy it either way. Whether I'm there late or not and I complain, I still enjoy it. It's still a really fun job, in my opinion. And it's just something I love. I mean, I have an education in it. I went to school for, you know, live production stuff, technical live production stuff. So it's just, you know, it just feels good to do something that I actually have an education in. And it's just something I enjoy, so. It never really feels like, you know, I mean, it definitely feels like work, but like it never feels like I'm doing a job that I hate. Or like when I'm driving there, I'm not like, man, like I don't want to fucking go to work. Like I've had a lot of jobs where I've, on the drive to work, I've like contemplated like calling out. Because I just didn't want to do it. And granted, I loved working at the movie theater too, don't get me wrong. That wasn't really exactly in my same industry, but it is still like an entertainment type industry. And I used to run projection and all that stuff back when it was film, and then when we switched to digital, you know, I learned how to do the digital build-up and stuff, but it wasn't my job. That was one of the other managers' jobs, so my job was inventory, and I really kind of grabbed that by the horns and did that really well. I hated it at first, but I kind of made it my own thing and made it easier on myself by making Excel sheets and stuff that calculated everything for me, and I had the best inventory in the company. And then COVID happened, and we shut down, and I would have gotten like a huge bonus that year, but needless to say, it never happened because the company went out of business. Oh, I needed 2 slabs? Shit, I didn't even notice that. Well, I guess we're driving back and getting another one. That's unfortunate. I could have, well, you know what we'll do? We'll just drive back and pick up those service spare parts. And then that'll put us back in that spot again, all that area, and we can pick up the other slab and finish that off. Sorry, I just didn't even, I was talking and I'm a little distracted this episode, that's for sure. I know you guys are probably screaming at me, but it doesn't help because you're watching a pre-recorded video. So maybe one day when I live stream, you guys will be able to catch me in my stupidity, because it happens a lot, especially when I'm like really passionately talking about something. I tend to just, like I did earlier in this episode, I drove past those drop-off points twice. So I don't know, I just tend to forget what I'm doing when I'm talking about something, if I'm telling a story or whatever, which is understandable. I think most people have that issue, because I had a boss at one time. He was actually a boss at the movie theater, and he wasn't exactly the most well-liked guy, but he wasn't horrible. I would say he wasn't the best boss, but he definitely had I definitely learned some things from him that I did agree with. And one of the things that I remember him saying to us was that multitasking is a lie. Nobody can multitask. And if you think about it, it really is true, because if you're trying to multitask, chances are your brain is occupied on one of those things at the time that you're doing it. So yes, there is ways that you can do it. Like say, you know, I guess you could say you're multitasking if like you put a load of clothes in the laundry and then like you went back and like started cleaning your kitchen. Like, yeah, in a way that's multitasking, but the true definition of multitasking, in my opinion, someone would be trying to do something like, say they're working on two different things at once. Like, you're working on, like, we'll just use this as an example because I can't really think of anything else. But say I was working on like an inventory Excel document, but then also at the same time I was trying to work on writing emails to respond to customers that had an issue, or customers that, you know, are asking a question about something, whatever. Doing those two things at once is, you know, it can be difficult because if I'm responding to someone in an email, you know, you obviously have to be in a professional mind state and do that kind of stuff. And then, I don't know, that's probably not the best example. I can't really think of any other example, but if you think about things that you would multitask doing, like, yes, you might think that you can multitask, but essentially, if you just focused on one of those things, you would get that done so much faster, and then be able to do the other thing and get that done faster in a shorter amount of time than you would if you tried to do them both at the same time. And it's true. Really think about it and really, you know, try it sometime. Because I argued with him at first, and I didn't really, you know, think he was right. And then I had thought about it, and, you know, things that I would typically, like, multitask on, I stopped doing, and I realized that I would get each task done so much faster if I just focused on one at a time. So there are definitely things that, like, you know, he had said that I, you know, actually did end up agreeing with, but there's a lot of things he also said that I just, like, thought was total bullshit. I don't know. He's a good guy, though. He just has these ideals that sometimes sound really good in your head, but don't really work out on paper. So. He actually ended up, he was like a co-GM with another co, and the other co, as this was a female, she was amazing. Everyone loved her. She was a great boss. She did her job. She did what she was asked. The other guy would tend to, like, shovel off his responsibilities on us assistant managers, and then he was basically doing nothing. He was just coming to work and sitting in the office and whatever. And not to say that he was lazy, but he just, I don't know, he was weird. I'll just put it that way. But in February of 2020, my family went to Disney World, and was it? Yeah, February 2020, my family went to Disney World, and he was laid off in that week that I was in Disney World, so I had all these people texting me like, are you going to take his job? You need to take his job. And everyone wanted me to take it, and I was like, I don't think that's what they want. I was like, I think they only want one general manager, and they liked the female better than him, so they kept him, or kept her. But then, like, whenever I had gotten back from vacation, she had called me, and she was like, hey, can you come in to the office? I want to talk about something with you. And I was like, is this a good or a bad thing? Because, like, you know, he was just, like, let go. I was like, oh god, are they, like, getting rid of me too? And she was like, no, it's definitely a good thing. So I come in, and that was when she offered me the operations manager job, and then I was in that position for like a month. I got like a raise. I was going to get bonuses for inventory because I had the best inventory, and then COVID happened, and that company went out of business. And then I've explained this story before. They reopened since, but it's the people that originally owned it when I worked for them before. They sold it to this company that went out of business, so they bought it back. They have the whole building now. They own everything, and then they completely renovated it and turned it into one of their own theaters that they run now. So, and I had applied and was told I didn't have the experience necessary to be a general manager, which is complete bullshit, and everyone knew that was complete bullshit. The one guy just doesn't like me, so that was the whole reason why he didn't want me to come back. So it's kind of like a big F you, and I don't even care anymore. I'm much happier doing what I'm doing now, and we're all good. I don't hold anything against them. I'd still go see movies there. I still have friends that work there. One of my friends is actually the general manager now. which is crazy because he had way less experience than me, and they gave him the general manager position. But I'm happy for him. I've told him that. I think it's great. I think he's killing it. And I told him, I was like, I was told I didn't have experience. I was like, I don't mean for that to like be like a, you know, a dig to you. And he was like, no, not at all. He's like, you definitely have the experience to do this job. He was like, I don't know why they gave it to me. And I was like, listen, I'm happy for you. I was like, don't ever think I'm not. And I was like, you're doing a great job, so just keep it up. And he was like, I appreciate that, man. So, but he actually was at an event that I was working at the Maryland Theater, and I was like, dude, I'm so much happier here. This is just what I like to do. I was like, this is my industry, technically, that I went to school for. I was like, this is just so much better for me anyway. So, like, I'm glad I didn't get hired back there, because I would be miserable. I already know that I'd be miserable. Alright, we're just going to run back and pick up this other slab. I guess we'll see if we can deliver it. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes at most, so. I gotta get this recorded because I gotta get, you know, I gotta start thinking about, like, grabbing a shower and all that stuff and get ready for work. I feel like I talk about my job all the time, but that's really the only thing I have to talk about. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I did buy the tire DLC that added like new tires and rims, but I haven't actually checked any of them out yet. So I know there's not a lot of tires for like trucks; it's more scouts and stuff. But I don't know, it was a little bit of like a FOMO thing. Like, there's some trucks that I don't really care about, like the Jeep and the Land Rover trucks I don't care about. I've thought about getting the Crocodile because I've heard a lot of good things about that, but it's just the only DLC truck that I've bought, like standalone truck that I've bought, is the Mastodon. And I only bought that because I love the Zeke's trucks. But, and then I don't know, I just felt like the tires seemed like a good like thing to have, so I paid for it. It was only $3, you know, whatever. I guess this would open up the second map for us. I really can't believe I didn't realize that that needed 2 slabs. It kind of sucks because I could have had that done already, but I had the space to carry it. I just didn't realize it said 2 instead of just 1. It's alright, it worked out. We just made a whole loop again. Right back here, we'll pick up another slab and deliver it, and then that'll be the episode. Oh, another funny thing that happened yesterday. So, this theater, there's, like, under the stage is, like, a whole, like, walkway, and there's a whole bunch of dressing rooms down there. It's where, like, the green room is and everything. But on the stage, there are 2 dressing rooms, like, off stage left. And, they had, like, a fog machine, like a hazer. And it was in one of the smaller, there's 2 dressing rooms upstairs. One's a little larger, the other one's a little smaller. It's not like substantial. The one's just definitely smaller. You can just by looking at it, it's just a smaller room. But they had this hazer in this small room, and they were like, oh, we need to turn that on and test it, make sure it's working. And they turned it on and walked away. And like me and my friend, his name's Caleb, he's the production manager. He was like, he looked over and he was like, holy shit. And I look over and you can't even see in this dressing room. It is like straight up like dense fog. Like all you could see was the doorway to the dressing room, and then it was just dense fog. And like the light was on in the room and like it completely blacked the light out. It was insane. And there's a freaking smoke detector in the dressing room next to it, and there, I think there used to be a door connecting the 2, but I don't think there is anymore. They completely like, there was a whole bunch of construction on this theater a couple years ago, and at this point I'm probably giving away the theater. I actually said it earlier in this episode. Maybe I'll just leave it, whatever. But they did all this work, so I think they closed that one doorway off. I don't think it's there anymore. But anyway, this besides the point. But it was a lot of haze, and sometimes haze will set off the smoke, like the fire alarm in the theater, and we don't really want that to happen because, you know, it's just not good for because it automatically calls the fire department and everything when that happens. So we try to avoid that when possible. And since it is a theater, you know, it's very strict on like no open flame. Your hazer has to be water based, like all that stuff. So, but we were like, holy shit! And like he ran in there, and like you couldn't even breathe in there. It was so dense. And like he turned it off, and like turned on the fan in the room, and like I opened up the loading dock door because it was just like there was so much freaking fog. And he had like a little plastic like sign holder. He was waving that and like trying to force the air out. It was insane. We got all of it out in like, you know, less than a couple minutes, but it was a lot of haze. Like it was so thick. I can't believe it didn't set off the freaking fire alarm. And that would have dropped the fire curtain and everything. It would have been like a whole disaster. But they were all like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." We're like, "It's fine. Like it's not really like it's a big deal." But if it would have set off the fire alarm, we would have been set back, you know, 30 minutes or so because the fire department has to come in and reset everything. And it was just crazy. But all right, so we delivered that. That's done. We knocked out a couple contracts here, and we'll just keep working on them in the next episodes. Hopefully, I can get a wheel episode recorded soon. But just keep in mind they may be short this weekend just because I'm so busy with work and everything. But hopefully, I can get a longer episode recorded with the wheel, and we'll get that up soon. So hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to, and I will catch you in the next episode. Have a good one.